You don't need anything special to become a healer, just the necessary spiritual powers. The elders recognized this energy in me, in the manner I participated in the healing dance, even when I was just a little boy. They told me I could be a healer. They gave me the confidence to choose healing. I trusted them unconditionally, and now I'm a healer.
His modesty does him honour. Xunta isn't just any old healer, of which there are many in the different San communities in southern Africa. Rather, he's the most famous living shaman in the Kalahari. His ability and healing skills are the object of many scientific books and films. Here, he's explaining to his daughter how the tsixu root helps with marital problems. Ground into a powder and mixed with some oil, he says, to rub it on the tummy and chest as well as around the mouth, from which bad words come. And not to forget to put some roots under the blanket and pillows. That'll make any man or woman come back and stay forever. He knows almost all the medicinal plants and their specific applications in the vast pharmacy of the Kalahari. He's also intimately familiar with the wild animals in the Nyae Nyae Conservancy. It's located south of the Kaudung National Park, on the border between Namibia and Botswana. The creation of the Nyae Nyae Conservancy in 1998 was a milestone in Namibia's environmental protection. It was the first time a local population was given control over wild animals and other natural resources. And that includes traditional hunting as a main attraction for tourists. The Nyae Nyae Conservancy is the only place where the San are allowed to live the way they're known for around the world, as hunter-gatherers, in direct food competition with lions and other wild animals.
We've grown up with wild animals, and that was far away from our present village, deep in the bush. It was full of wild animals. Our parents regularly hunted and taught us how to make the food taste nice. They ate a lot of meat, alongside our main food, namely wild roots, tubers and fruits.
The wild fruits are only collected after they've been inspected for ripeness. They're considered a delicacy. Their pips are used to make a healing salve. It's used for treating swellings from minor infections as well as eye inflammations. Gathering food is normally one of the women's main jobs. But the search for natural cures is a matter for the great shaman, even though his wife's also a recognised healer. Their daughter is being trained as their designated successor. Be it nosebleeds, headaches, diarrhoea, toothache or malaria, there's virtually no problem Bu can't treat. He usually knows several effective treatments for the relevant symptoms: roots, barks, leaves, fruits, and their seeds.
I think highly of modern medicine. It's often very helpful, but sometimes the illness doesn't fit this medicine. So a good healer always has to examine the sick person to find out whether modern medicine is the right thing. Generally speaking, I'm very confident it can help. But I always think hard before sending someone to hospital. You can't solve every problem just with pills and modern healing.
Life in the Kalahari definitely isn't a place where conventional and natural medicine are at loggerheads. The people here have to look after themselves. The nearest clinic with a doctor is 80 kilometres away, and it's overrun by patients. That doesn't leave much time for the individual, as is so often the case in Western healthcare systems. That's why Xunta prefers to treat his granddaughter's foot injury with the healing methods he was taught and with intensive, tender, loving care. In the unfamiliar surroundings of a hospital, the tears of fear might flow even more readily. It's even more comforting that the grandmother's cataract is treated with the same healing salve, and that the grandfather self-treats to return the twitching nerve to the right spot. Even though it might not be that healthy, the obligatory tobacco pipe is still part of every healing act here. Life here is very different from the typical depictions of the so-called Bushmen that are shown in most travel and nature documentaries. Far too many would-be reports banish them to the Stone Age, staging them as traditional hunter-gatherers. The modern fairy tales about wild people in the unspoilt wilderness have as much to do with reality as James Bond films do with fighting crime.
Strangers were always visiting my father, wanting to learn about the art of healing. I've been used to tourists since childhood, and I've been on camera several times. I was even in the famous film The Gods Must Be Crazy. Maybe you remember the Coca-Cola bottle that was thrown out of the plane and found by us. If you watch the film, there's a scene in which a very young boy is hit on the head with it. That's a really long time ago. It's been so many decades that I hardly recognize myself in the film. It was all filmed in this area, and we were the actors. Can you believe it?
We've known Xunta and his family for many years now. We've explored their current living environment as anthropologists, and we're more than happy to comply with his request to depict them realistically on film. Milk in plastic bottles, mosquito nets, sunglasses and Western clothing are just as much part of their lives as loincloths and traditional weapons for hunting. At their behest, we take the 4x4 as far from the village as possible. Prey is scared to be near humans. The people in the Nyae Nyae are among the few San who still live with wild animals. None of them are nomadic anymore, none of them in the whole of southern Africa. The images of nomadic hunters moving through the wild Kalahari are nothing but a falsehood. But the hunters still use the old rules when catching spring hares and porcupines. It's hard work getting at porcupines in their labyrinthine dens, and it's dangerous too. There are often venomous snakes and scorpions in the dark tunnels. And so the young hunter's mobile is a permissible aid. The light massively increases his safety, regardless of what the older generation may think. A successful hunt's more about intuition anyway. According to their belief system, God and their ancestors play a role too. They can connect hunters and their prey with an imaginary rope. When the rope tugs on the hunter's arm, he just has to follow that pull, as long as the ancestors aren't playing a cruel trick, of course. That's how it seems when moving bushes appear that soon turn out to be porcupines fleeing from an as-yet unknown danger.
As a hunter, you shouldn't be scared of encountering a lion, or of running into an elephant, or stepping on a snake. As soon as you start hunting, you must only concentrate on the animals you want to hunt. Otherwise, you don't stand a chance. Even when night falls, you have to stay strong and confident. If you want to be a good hunter, you can't be scared of any danger in the wilderness.
But even the best hunter doesn't mind having a good life insurance policy. Those who step on a scorpion when digging for porcupines need spiritual protection to be spared the venom. We're only gradually realising why the healer's presence is so important. Even though he seems quite inactive most of the time, merely storing a few wild duck in his sack, he's the good spirit of the whole undertaking. His spiritual power's there to prevent the ancestors from getting a living person over to their side, with the help of lions, snakes, scorpions, and the night. We only hear about the hunting success the following morning. The hunters spent half the night digging for the porcupine until they were able to find it and kill it. They're warming up with hot tea and milk in the early morning. They weren't prepared for spending the night out in the open. Boo urges them to go and pick up the kill they left behind before anyone else gets to it. In the darkness, it was too dangerous to carry the dead animal through lion and hyena territory. For the San, life in this world, such as hunting and gathering, isn't separate from religion. God, spirits, animals, humans and the entire cosmos are closely connected. Everyone has to contribute to the hunting's success, but everyone's still responsible for his own safety.
If you know that there's a porcupine in the den, you take your spear and try to find it. If you see it, you can't attack right away. You first have to build a protective barrier out of sand. Otherwise, you're completely unprotected when the animal shoots its quills in every direction. The sand has to intercept all those coming your way, otherwise they can injure you badly. Your spear won't help you then, because the porcupine will have killed you, not vice versa. If you pull the quills out, they tend to injure your blood vessels. You'll lose blood and get weaker and weaker. If it goes really wrong, you die. That's why you mustn't forget the sand barrier under any circumstances. You put your spear on it and wait for the best moment to stab the animal. Then you have to leave the spear in the animal's body until it's really dead. Otherwise, it'll take you with it in the process.
The hunters only take what they need to live. They leave everything else behind for the other animals. They don't just pay lip service to holistic thinking and acting here. Birds with injured wings could be messengers from heaven. The healer should give them some of the energy he received from God. Injured ducks that won't survive can be collected, however.
We believe in a God on earth. We call him Ko. And we believe in a heavenly God. His name's Konkan. It's difficult to come into direct contact with him. You can only do that through the healing dance. It allows us to rise to this heavenly realm. This great God of the heavens is the most important part of my spirituality. He gives me strength to heal.
The concept of healing means more than just treating ailments. It encompasses the protection and nurturing of all relationships with the members of the community, with the animals of whom and with whom they live, with the natural environment as their livelihood, and with God in his different manifestations. Therein lies the core of the Kalahari way of life.
I think the continued existence of our culture is in grave danger. If we're not successful at passing on our traditions, then this lifestyle will soon be a thing of the past. In the city where the children go to school, they lose the practical understanding of their own culture. They're taught different things. That's why it's so important that they at least come back during the holidays and that we use the time to teach them what we know. They should know about the traditional games, the stories that are passed down the generations, and how to make tools and weapons for hunting, as well as clothes and jewelry. If we teach our children about that, our culture will survive. If we fail, when we die one day, the next generation won't understand how we lived. They have nothing of their own that they can pass on to their children. It'll be the end of a big chunk of tradition.
The hunters only lay claim to the offal. The rest of the animal is there for the community and is taken to the village. Fair sharing is considered a central value and crucial virtue, particularly when it comes to the hotly sought-after game. That's something the healer seems to worry about on the way back to the village.
As our leader, my father always emphasized that we should distinguish right from wrong, especially in conflicts between households. Then he spoke to everyone. He said, if we want to stay together, we mustn't fight each other anymore. We should listen to each other's arguments and work together like a family. He often says to the boys, please learn from your fathers how to become good men. He tells the girls to listen to their parents. Whenever he sees a problem, he calls the community together for a healing dance. That's what my father's like.
It's easy for a family to feel disadvantaged or overlooked when food is shared out. A healing dance is the perfect answer. It allows the healer to diffuse social conflicts, stave off impending dangers, and help the sick.
When I receive enough spiritual energy, I can cure a lot of diseases. In my altered state of consciousness, I can see the diseases and even smell them. But if I don't recognize the problem, I'm powerless to deal with it. If it is a disease I'm familiar with, I can cure it.
Healing dances are the central element of their religion. It's only recently that they've served as an important source of income. Strangers have always been welcome here, even more so if they're willing to pay good money for a unique holiday experience. In front of the specially erected straw huts, the dance is staged as a traditional ritual.
It makes no difference whether we perform the healing dance for tourists or for our own ends. It's the same. We sing and we dance in the same way. It depends whether we get enough of the spiritual energy that we call Nom. And that's the most important thing when it comes to healing. That's why we healers are often called the owners of this energy. Nom Kao. It's our job to let everyone present to participate in that, particularly the sick. We target them with energy arrows full of Nom. It makes no difference to me whether I do this because tourists are there or I'm just doing it to heal.
This divine energy, Nom, is not a game. It could even kill the healer. His screams are evidence of the exhaustion that's associated with the healing process. The women's hours of singing and rhythmic clapping activate the Nom in the healer. They bring the growing energy to boiling point until he turns directly to God or an ancestral spirit and asks him to leave my people in peace. These women aren't ready to come to you yet. They want to stay with us. We love them.
I start to feel the energy in my toes. Then it rises through my legs before taking hold of my stomach. It feels as if my stomach were a cauldron full of boiling liquid. You feel an incredible heat in you. And that's what gives you the power to heal others. When the fire's burning in you, you get the spiritual power to heal.
The granddaughter with the swollen foot is first.
The screams come from the pain that the heat causes in me. At the same time, it's how I expel the sickness that I transfer onto myself. I can free myself from the sickness with these screams.
When their healer is transformed into pure energy, he can pass it on with his sweat, breath and songs. But he also palpably taps into his own life force.
It's not enough to pull the sickness out of the person. That's only the first step. Then you have to shoot energy arrows into the sick person's body to make sure he stays strong and doesn't relapse. The sick person should remain connected to the power of the healer so that he gets fully well again.
During the healing dance, everyone receives the spiritual energy of the Nom, including the healthy. It's about preventing the sickness that lurks in every one of us. If he detects a disease through his spiritual X-rays, he tries to suck it out. He threatens the spirit that sent it with beatings. His wife bursts out laughing, not because she thinks it's a joke or just show, but because laughter softens the body to take in the positive energy and to send negative energy back into the spirit world.
I made a mistake last night. When I healed my granddaughter's injured foot, I forgot to scream out the sickness properly. Now I have a swollen foot.
Nobody distrusts a great shaman like Xunta. Even so, we're not sure whether he's just pretending he didn't act correctly. It's church day after all. So shortly after visiting his own heavenly God, the healer sees a kind of conflict of loyalty. The pastor of the Dutch Reformed Church in Xunta knows that too.
My parents were traditional healers too. Even I believed in our God. It was the Christian mission that changed us. Our traditional healing only has a short-lived effect. But the path to Jesus promises us complete salvation from sickness and death. I don't have a problem with traditional healing, but it has limited efficacy. Some get well, but they get sick again soon. It's only the Christian God and Jesus who make you healthy forever.
In the words of the pastor, who's also a San, there's a sense of an old tension. All over Africa, Christian missions claimed the exclusive validity of their message. They declared traditional faiths to be superstitions.
I studied the Bible, and that's how I learned to deliver a Sunday sermon. I make an effort to pay close attention to my congregation to recognize their problems. I address them through the Bible. I pick passages to go with modern problems and imagine the solution came from Jesus himself.
Many San were open to the new religion. The miracles performed by Jesus reminded them of the tricky spirits of their own tradition and the value system that came with it.
What do I think of the church? I think it's a good thing. You can learn a lot about people, the community and social cohesion. The pastor reminds you not to argue, not to insult anyone and not to steal. The church teaches good values. I believe in that. God wants to see us living peacefully together.
They praise him for that, regardless of his guise. The San's notions of God are very flexible and individual anyway. A Sunday visit to church is more about the social contacts and the rare opportunity to go shopping in the district capital of Xunta and have a good time. After that, they like returning to their village and their familiar surroundings.
I think modern and traditional lives both have their advantages and disadvantages. I earn my money in the lodge in the town of Xunta, but I wouldn't want to live there. Life's too short for that kind of entertainment. I prefer to spend my time in the village. I can hunt and enjoy the freedom of nature there. If you give in to the habits of the town, life is over before you know. If I compare the two, the quiet village life is preferable to life in a town.
In the town, the many shebeens, as the local bars are called, result in high alcohol consumption and therefore in some social conflict. Before this turns into violence, the inhabitants of the Nyae Nyae Conservancy prefer to see their healers.
I know a healer in Chokwe with whom I've done quite a few healing dances. All healers have their own methods. Some can really transform themselves into an animal. They usually transform into a lion, a snake, or a scorpion, and not just during the dance. Sometimes they take on the guise of a lion in their sleep, visiting other healers at night. We too need the help of others to cure diseases. We agree to meet to share our power and to recharge our spiritual power. I do that too. When we change into a different living thing, we don't want to harm anyone. We only come together to solve difficult problems. That's when healers come together as animals at a watering hole. We give each other spiritual energy and come back recharged.
We can't say whether Boo went on such a spirit journey to a healer, but the next day his foot isn't bandaged anymore and he's in good spirits. Maybe the presence of the tourist group brought about his rapid cure. They've booked a paid bushwalk to learn more about healing plants and traditional life in the Kalahari.
I think that many people come to us from so far away because they want to take our photograph and learn about our healing methods. They take pictures of me because I look unfamiliar to them. And I do unfamiliar things. I'm proud of being a healer. That way you can keep all bad and evil at bay. Nothing can get to you, and you can help others master their way through life.
The way through life consists of hitting several birds with one stone. Gathering here is like going shopping in the supermarket. Being paid for that is more than just serendipity.
Some tourism, they think that we are still in the bush. It is so, but in the modern life, we are going to schools and doing some jobs, like working with computers. But tourism like the culture, so they want to see the spirit of the culture, what we are speaking, the language, the behaviors, so all sorts of that is what they would like to see.
Making fire and chasing away unwelcome guests are still part of everyday life here. But for the tourists, it's quite an adventure.
Life today doesn't seem that different from what it was like when I was a child. We still do the same things. We go hunting and gathering. It's just that now we have tourists who film us and take pictures. We earn money and can buy some things. You could call that development. I don't mind it.
And it can be fun. especially if you can choose how to show off your own culture. Wild animals don't like being caught in front of tourists armed with cameras. Best to just act out the role of the guinea fowl instead. Even the healer doesn't feel above getting involved as the saviour of the strange bird. The jolly mood and obvious contentment say a lot about the success of self-administration in the Nyae Nyae Conservancy. What started as an experiment 2 decades ago has developed into a model for more than 80 such projects. To make them a success, it takes cautious leaders such as Xunta.
My father has done a lot for the community. I've not heard a loud word from him since birth. He hates all forms of argument. He's always there for young and old. Some come from far afield to have him treat their diseases. He takes time for everyone. My son's child is sick, and my father has promised me that he'll do what he can so it doesn't have to go to the clinic. Xunta isn't just a good father who takes care of his own family. He's there for the whole community. Our peaceful coexistence is based on this selfless responsibility.
A great healer has to accept the idea of self-sacrifice. Every healing dance threatens him with disease, suffering and ultimately death. Only those who overcome the fear of those things gain the necessary confidence of reaching old age.
As a young boy, I didn't know what I'd become. But it was always clear to me that I would live to very old age.
Now he can look back on a successful life dedicated to protecting the community from all misfortunes.
Hey.